So we'll start with some blue tick accounts during the riots. Illegal immigrants moved into the Dragonfly Hotel, Peterborough, with a video identifying exactly where they were and where the protesters were to go, a blue tick account. The Embassy Hotel in Gateshead houses hundreds of illegal immigrants in hotel next to nursery, again with a video encouraging people to go and riot there. Is that within your standards, or did you do anything to remove these during the riots?
I can't speak to those specific posts. It's possible that they may have received community notes.
I didn't.
Happy to have our teams have a second look at those posts. I don't have them in front of me, so I can't.
Let's stick with some of the stuff that blue tick accounts,
sure,
that the algorithm therefore boosts. Let's start with one we talked about earlier, Mr. Andrew Tate, blue tick account. Want to make sure many people see him. Labour cover up rape because they're rapists. Is that true?
I'm not in a position to evaluate his statement.
Right. Another blue tick account. Jess Phillips is a rape genocide apologist. Is that true?
Again, not in a position to evaluate that statement.
Let's see if any of these you'll have an opinion on. Apologies for some of the language coming out here. This cunt is openly screwing everyone, and he doesn't care why. We rise up and openly shoot Keir Starmer, as he needs to step down, or the people of the UK will force him to. If not, I will. Swearing emoji, swearing emoji, swear emoji. Blue tick account. Is that within your rules?
I would have our teams review that.
Right.
I mean,
I can keep going.
When a review, what would a review mean? A review, that would be, so it's not community notes. If they review that, they will look at taking it down, or?
So it depends. Again, I don't have the posts in front of me, and again, I'm not a safety team member who evaluates these on a day-to-day basis. To sit here and say that we find and we get the right call every time would be wrong. We make mistakes and we learn from them. We did take action on tens of thousands of posts, from account removal to labeling sensitive media to labeling hateful content. So
I'm happy to pass these to you.
Sure.
These took me about 10 minutes to pull together.
Okay.
Literally, that's how quick it was. But let's talk to one that was reported, and what action was actually taken or not.
Can we talk about the speed of actions? I think that's very important.
So in November, I posted a tweet about my petition to save my local post office. This was my reply from one person. You are a traitor to the British people, and you will swing oh so slowly on a gibbet. I had to look up what a gibbet is. It's not a pleasant thing. I was reported as harmful and violent speech, and in violation of your rules of expressing desire for violence is not allowed. That's your rule, right? These are your safety rules. No action was taken. No action is still taken. The post is still up. The same account continues to post, "The Jew is the enemy of all humankind. Bend over, bitch. I will fuck you. Here are your shekels."
Oh my gosh.
The goal is to replace Europeans with browns before we organise to remove the filth. Zelensky will get his Mussolini treatment for what he's done to Ukraine. They are the enemy within. They must be destroyed. The Jew has infiltrated white society to teach children to hate themselves. Muslims are disgusting homosexuals. Zelensky is a dead man walking. This is all from the account. Luckily, not all towards me, but clearly all towards somebody. Is this acceptable under the guise of free speech on X these days?
No, those comments are abhorrent, and we'll have our teams take a look. Absolutely.
Can you assure the committee this account will be removed?
I can't make any assurances. I can assure that our teams will review under our terms of service, and I'm sorry that you had to, experience that.
Okay, well, let's move on.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all right. But the thing is, these are not unique.
Yes.
I am not the only MP that gets these messages from these kinds of accounts and report them, and no action is taken.
But you're happy to make money out of it, aren't you? Isn't that the point?
Right, let's... Right. So, I wanted to next come to Alistair in terms of TikTok, right? So, in your own guidelines, and I want to understand how the algorithm catches this and how it changes it. It talks about synthetic or manipulated material that shows realistic scenes must clearly be disclosed. And we do not allow synthetic media of any real private figure. We allow some latitude for public figures, but still do not want people to be misled by political or financial issues. So, it took me again about 10 minutes to find an AI of Keir Starmer standing in front of Downing Street and then jumping into a boat full of migrants in front of Downing Street. Clearly AI. No sign or disclosure of AI. This post has been seen 2.8 million times. It's been liked over 244,000 times. It's been shared over 122,000 times. How does your algorithm and your own rules get applied in this situation? And is it working?
So firstly, I'd love to pick up with you afterwards about that specific thing. Again, I can take that to my trust and safety team and get an evaluation. I think it's worth us separating two separate things here. There's the moderation approach that we take, and then there's our algorithm, which helps recommend things to individuals. The moderation approach starts very much with actually AI, and AI being able to use models to screen content that is uploaded for any of our community guidelines violations. AI is particularly good at some things. It's really good at being able to detect things like pornographic material, blood, that kind of thing. Others, it may refer to human moderators who then have to use their nuance, their skills, their training, etc., to be able to rule on other elements that can include hateful behaviour, elements that can include misinformation, misleading information as well. That is then done upon upload. We also make sure that as content grows in its level of popularity, it is re-reviewed. So when it hits certain levels of thresholds, it's not just that once you're through, you then don't have any further moderation. Actually, as it hits higher levels, it does. We can take a look and assess that one very specifically under the
this account,
community
this
guidelines.
Is not their only video.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly that. There's a repetitive, featuring Keir Starmer in AI doing various things. You can't reach 2.8 million views without some level of boost from the algorithm, can you?
So let me explain a little bit about how our algorithm works as well then. So our algorithm, as I said earlier, is based on what we call a content graph rather than a social graph. So it's not based on who you follow and what they post. It's based on what you like, your interactions with particular videos. And basically, if you can imagine what happens, we'll show you a video. And if you like it by liking it, watching it for a long time, sharing it, commenting on it, we will essentially say, okay, you like that. This cluster of users also liked that, and they liked these other 4 videos. So we'll serve these 4 videos up and see whether or not you like any more of those and continue to refine on that basis. I think when you're then talking about the specific, as I say, I can't comment on the video specifically, but I just want to highlight 2 additional things. So there are a couple of different community guidelines that we may look at something like that in. One is misinformation, and we don't allow misinformation that could result in significant harm to an individual or to society more widely. So it is worth highlighting that significant harm is the threshold. And again, I'm not a trust and safety professional, but significant harm is what we will assess on the basis.
But you say you do not want people to be misled by political or financial issues. This clearly falls into that category.
And what I was coming on to say is that from an AI perspective, you're absolutely right. We take AI very seriously.
Can an algorithm and AI checking, which you're all 3 companies are using, but the question is to you, in terms of doing moderating of content, can it identify and assess AI-generated material without a human factor?
So we're putting a lot of investment into making sure that we improve as rapidly as possible.
But can it now, today?
I'm not a technical person, so I can't give a definitive answer. I think the one thing I was going to highlight is we were the first video sharing platform to adopt standards set out by the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. And so what that is meant to do, it's worth saying, when it comes to AI, anything that is generated on TikTok is automatically labelled as AI. But obviously, sometimes it will be generated via other services the C2PA coalition is a group of companies that are trying to create a level of standards such that actually metadata can be shared, so that even if something is uploaded as an organic video but isn't, we have a way of being able to detect that.
Yeah.
That's a work in progress, and we're moving towards
if
it.
people use the TikTok tools to generate the video, it will automatically do that.
Right.
That's not necessarily how content is created necessarily.
And that's why we're taking these additional steps to try and account for that.
I'm conscious I'm taking up a lot of time, and I did want to just ask a question to Meta, if that's all right.
Okay.
Right. So, in December, Meta submitted some written evidence to this committee, stating that third-party fact-checking program was a key part of its approach to combating misinformation. How does that fit with the new program coming in the US, and with the heavily shared leaked internal guidance suggesting that it will now permit statements such as, trans people aren't real, they are mentally ill, immigrants are grubby, filthy pieces of shit, black people are more violent than whites, and Jews are far flat out greedier than Christians, clearly promoting racist misinformation?
If I deal with I think there's two questions in there. So in terms of the fact checkers, we are not ending fact checking on our platforms. We are changing the way that we go about it. We've had feedback over the years that the approach that we're taking could be improved, that it wasn't as scalable as we would hope it could be. And so we are exploring, as you've noted, shifting to a community notes model. We're starting that work in the US. The intention is to deliver a system which is more scalable and has higher trust from our users in a way which still preserves the intent, which is to find and tackle misinformation on the platform. In terms of the guideline changes that you described there, look, I accept that some of those are difficult for the communities that are affected to hear. We have received, again, feedback over the months and years that in some cases, some areas of debate were being suppressed too much on our platform, and that some conversations, whilst challenging, should have a space to be discussed. Now, we retain clear rules and community standards prohibiting content which is designed to incite violence. We maintain enforcement around imminent threats of physical harm and so on, and I'm happy to share all of the details of these policies with the committee. But we are focusing our efforts.
So you just a final question. You can't possibly think that statements like this that are that there is scientific fact that proves otherwise are there for anything other than causing and inciting harm, whether online harm or in-person harm. Can you? You think this is a genuine debate, whether or not trans people are real or not, whether they're mentally ill? You think that's a debate? Is that what you're saying?
I think that what we've seen is we've had feedback, as I said, over the years that topics which have become part of mainstream discourse, conversations around some of these issues that happen among members of the public, that happen in the newspapers, that they were being suppressed on our platforms in a way which was too aggressive.
Sorry, so you're saying the statements I read earlier that are clearly not proven in scientific fact are now acceptable on all Meta platforms?
Saying that where people make statements that violate our policies, they will be actioned. Equally, we've had the feedback that there are topics where the view was there should be more room for debate and conversation.
Wow.
But I think I think
I don't even know what to say to that.